Athens Photographic Project. We are making efforts to address mental health issues in Athens, Ohio. You're talking about the need in the community is substance use disorder and mental health problems are very high. And it's easy to overlook, but addiction doesn't discriminate. For 25 years, Athens Photo Project has been serving the mental health and arts community. Founded in 2000 by Elise Sanford, it's been a pillar of belonging for people who are used to being overlooked and marginalized. Giving people a place to belong while creating art and building each other up is truly something that is unique in the mental field, not just here, but in society at large.
When you have a trauma, it goes into your emotional memory, which is your limbic system. And your limbic system is very deep within your brain. So if you go like through your ears and through your eyes, like right in the middle of your brain is this limbic system, and it stores all your emotional memories. The problem, as therapists, is that you can't access those emotional memories through words. They can actually only be accessed through the creative process. So art therapy, has actually been shown to free people from those emotional memories by making art. It doesn't just have to be art, though. It could be drama, it could be music, it could be dance, it could be really any form. It's just that of all of those expressive arts therapy forms, art therapy is like the biggest or the most well known.
I think the Athens Photo Project is brilliant because it's using images and not words to try and communicate, right? And we know that images are a little bit more open to interpretation and flexibility.
All of the participants have a history of mental health and often addiction struggles. So, being in a place where everybody has a shared experience, sometimes traumatic, allows deep bonding and builds meaningful connection with our peers. And something about this organization that is unique is that it is peer led. Decisions are reached democratically with no fixed hierarchy, so um, no putting one person's opinion over others. Purpose of art is in the eye of the beholder. So it's a form of communication. My favorite thing is to take portraits because I love for my friends to see themselves how I see them.
Mental health is sort of an invisible condition. You can't automatically look at somebody and understand, like, oh, they've got an anxiety disorder, or oh, they're experiencing depression, right? And so sometimes it's nice to be able to pass in society, but sometimes that also is a problem because that means that you don't get help and nobody can connect with you on it. And so I think the Athens Photo Project is playing with that invisibility in a really interesting way. So if you're trying to talk with somebody who doesn't understand your culture or even your experiences, it's really hard for you to get culturally competent care. And that's another sort of research project I've been working on in the state of Ohio. People of color have really different distress experiences. They have very different higher levels of minority stress and oppression and discrimination. And most of our care providers who are licensed therapists and mental health workers are not people of color themselves, and so there's automatically like a translation barrier when like I'm sitting here trying to understand somebody else's experience that I have never been in that body or walked in those circumstances, right?
So art therapists are considered therapists. They're not just people using art. They actually do have it's a master's degree. You become licensed, to work with people in the mental health realm. Same as a counselor or a psychologist. It's the same training, except that in a psychology or a counselor world, you're not learning creative modalities, to help, someone. So I think the difference is that if you really wanted to go deep inside your soul and excavate, art therapy is probably your best bet. Also, if you happen to be a child or a teenager or maybe a couple that are seeking couples therapy that can't quite get to I don't know, the bottom line of what's happening, then art is a way, to get that out because you can't lie in art. So whatever you draw is a self-portrait of wherever you are. And so there's no hiding. It's very fast that way and can go very deep. Um, by using the arts. And when you're doing talk therapy, many times we bump up against people's egos, so it's like ego to ego talking, so people can lie, not because they want to, just because they might be lying to themselves, but art has a way of you can't lie in it.